Okay, so today's video we're going to cover 12 of the most commonly found half-inch impact wrenches that you're going to get from your Home Depot, Lowe's, Menards, Harbor Freight, big box stores, plus Amazon. So here's our first four we're going to cover. I'm going to cover all the specs specifically, so whether you're a DIYer who's just looking for a tool that you can use once in a blue moon that's just going to be decent and give you the power and torque capabilities that you need, or you're a professional and you just really want to consider what you're going to be purchasing, and specs are super important, whether that be for warranty, price, or whatever the case may be. So hopefully you can find this helpful. Here's first four we're going to cover: Rigid, Makita, DeWalt, Metabo. I've used DeWalt tools a lot. Their impact driver works pretty well. However, don't like their outdoor power equipment. Did a review on some of that, and that's that. Master Force, you're going to get that from Menards. The Hercules and Bauer are going to be from Harbor Freight, and they're a little bit on the bulkier side, just looking at them. But they're still considered in that compact class, right? Most of them are subcompact or compact. Craftsman as well. And then the last four we're going to cover: Milwaukee, Cobalt, Ryobi, and Hart. So when it comes to what we're going to cover, so things to take a look at. All these models are going to be all variable speed triggers. They all have lights on them, but they're all in different spots. There's three main spots where they put the lights on them. They're all brushless motors, so they're more efficient. They're quieter. They're just more durable, longer lasting motors, and they're just more top of the line. Some of the newest technology that's available on the market for these tools. Size we already covered. Torque specs, a lot of them don't. Some of them don't list, fastening versus nut busting. Some of them do, so that's something to consider as far as when you're looking at the specs. And then the anvil style, whether it's hog ring or detent, I'm going to cover the basics on that. If you're maybe just shopping around and you don't really know what that is or what the differences are or maybe what they're used for, what's more important, so we'll cover that. And then the pricing on these is going to be for the tool only. A lot of them have bundle deals, especially now like today's Black Friday, Christmas time. You're going to get a lot of different specials for the battery, charger, etc. But this is basically for the tool only, kind of on average what I found. Now, whether you're watching this video today or a couple years from now, pricing is going to be different. So I'll be curious to see, kind of how prices change, over the next couple years as technology changes too. So, and then all of them have some kind of auto mode. Whether that be a 3-speed plus the auto mode or 4-speed that's included the auto mode, just to control release as you're pulling off the lug nuts or the nut, whatever you're pulling off. You don't want the thing to go flying, right? So it's kind of a safety thing, and then also it does prevent over tightening. So those are some things to consider before we take a look. And then we have the hog rings versus the detent. What are the differences? Now, they all come in the hog ring style, all the models I show you. However, the Makita actually comes in a hog ring or a detent. So it has two different models and two different options, which I think is kind of nice. So that's the only one that I found that has that. Now, the hog ring style is best used for quick change applications, right? You're constantly changing socket sizes, so if you're working in automotive and you need something that's going to be quick to change out, you don't have to worry about changing it with a tool. You can pull off the socket. It's really compatible with all different sizes. Super easy, quick to do. So if speed is important, that's always something to consider, right? Now, it is a little bit less durable because this ring style does tend to wear out a little faster, so it may not last quite as long as the detent, and it's designed for more low to mid torquing capabilities. Versus the detent, best when you're working on elevated surfaces. So if you're on a construction site, scaffolding maybe, who knows? You don't want those sockets flying off, right? So you want a more secure setting, especially if you don't have to change those out very often. But it's got a spring-loaded pin in here typically, and you may have to use a pin removal tool to change the socket out, which is a little more time consuming, right? Just something else to have to worry about. But it's a little bit safer because it does hold on to those sockets a little bit better, and it's designed for more torque or higher torque applications. So that's that. And then here's our big chart where we're going to look at and what we're going to compare, working left to right. And I'll pull this off presentation mode, but this may be very helpful for you if you just are looking at specs and you need to get in a specific area, so you need a tool to be under a certain size. Or you're really keen on taking a look at what's important to you, most, whether that be the price or the warranty or whatever. So for me, I have a lot of Ryobi tools and I have some DeWalt tools, so I tend to stick with the same tools unless I have a real reason to switch, because then you have to buy the battery and charger. It's just more more of a time-consuming, project than it needs to be. But as far as the specs, we have the Master Force. You have the model number here. Then you have the warranty, battery, weight, length, RPMs, torque specs, number of speeds, and then where the light position is, and then the price, and then a few features as well. So I'll pull this off presentation mode in a second. Now, something that stands out to me, of course, if you're buying the Bauer, you have 3 months. That's it. Otherwise, you're out of luck, right? But at that $50 price point, that's definitely the cheapest one. $50 to $249 is kind of what I'm seeing. So big difference in pricing here. But you get what you pay for sometimes. However, some of the specs seem, mid-level, basically, basic for what you may need it for, right? So longest lengthwise, 7.5 is the heart. So that's the longest. It's going to be the bulkiest. But it's got a lot of good specs to it. 2800 is typically the high average of what the RPMs are going for. And this has really good torque specs on it. 600 for nut busting and 450 for fastening. So it's got some really good specs on here for what it is at that 119 price. So not bad when you think about it. And the reviews were really good on it. So depending on what you're using, it may be an option for you. Now the Hercules is another Harbor Freight tool, right? That had decent specs to it, and it's $70. But it's also got that 5-year warranty, which is really nice. So when it comes to warranty, the Rigid and the Metabo is at the very bottom. You can't see that's also got a lifetime on the tool. So most of them are 3 to 5 years, and then most of them are also 18 to 20 volts. Now I highlighted in bold here the Rigid length and weight as the shortest and the lightest. So anywhere from 2.1 pounds to 3.5 pounds, and then as far as length, 4.31 pounds up to 7.5 inches as far as specs. So a little bit of range there, and then RPMs typically go from 1900, that Craftsman, all the way up to 3200 for the Makita, and then your torque specs are all over the place. The Milwaukee is really good, and then the DeWalt isn't bad either, but those hard specs really stand out to me. So, and there's your price point too, right? I mean, like I said, typically it's what, 50 to 249. It's kind of what I'm seeing. But I'm going to pull this off presentation mode here, so we can kind of take another look here. So the DeWalt, some of the extra specs on that, it has glass-filled nylon housing, which essentially is just another feature that protects against, oils and solvents reaching the motor, and being more protective when it comes to that. So the Makita has something similar. It's got water and dust, some kind of technology that keeps out water and dust, and then it's got the components that help with protection from overheating and overloading on the motor. So a little bit different technology with the Makita. That's definitely the most expensive. The Milwaukee, couple things to note on that. Really good warranty on Milwaukee, of course, but you have the easy change mode. So if you're changing the modes, you can just pull the trigger. So if you're in a tight spot, just pull that trigger. You can change the mode directly. You don't have to keep trying to find different buttons to press, especially if you're in a tight spot. So that's something to consider. And then I'm going to go down to the bottom here. What else does that Milwaukee have? It's got that rubber mold. Okay, so it's got that rubber mold over the housing. So it just kind of protects the motor a little bit better. So if you drop it, it's just going to be more of a protection feature. And then the Metabo at the bottom. Lifetime on the tool. The specs are kind of right around average for what it is. And then light positioning. Best light positioning, Rigid, Ryobi, DeWalt, and Milwaukee. Those all have that tri-beam effect on that lighting. So it's going to really light up your application the best. So hope you found this video helpful and useful. That's it for now. So be sure to follow, like, and subscribe, and we'll see you next time. Thanks for watching.